When I couldn't drive anymore, I asked my daughter if I could move closer. Her husband said, "We're not running an elderly hostel. Figure it out." She looked away and said, "We're too busy to deal with this." I nodded. Then I called a realtor, and what I did with my estate sent shockwaves through the family. "Hi, I'm Harold. I'm 74 now, but this started when I was 71. I live in Kansas. Used to be Topeka. Now I'm somewhere else. Doesn't matter yet. I wasn't planning to write this. But the way things went down, it's been sitting in me too long. Maybe if I say it out loud, write it, I'll stop waking up at 3 a.m. thinking about that phone call. So here it is. I lost my wife Sandra in 2018. Breast cancer. Fast, brutal. 44 years married. She died at home holding my hand. After that, things got quiet. Not peaceful quiet, just empty. Too quiet. I did okay for the first year. Took care of the house. Kept the yard up. Paid the bills. Went to the VFW on Fridays. Talked to the neighbors now and then. But my hands started giving me trouble. Arthritis. And my eyes, especially at night, weren't what they used to be. I hit a mailbox one morning backing out. That scared the hell out of me. Next day, I put the keys in a drawer and never touched them again. That's when things got hard. I live out in the country. Closest grocery store is 20 minutes away. No buses. No Ubers. And you can't call a cab around here unless you want to wait 3 hours and pay $50. So I thought, alright, maybe it's time to move. Nothing big. Just something smaller, maybe an apartment near my daughter Alyssa. Alyssa's my only kid. She lives in Overland Park, 3 hours east. Married to a guy named Mark. 2 kids. Big house. She's a school counselor. He's in finance or insurance or something. He's always bragging about deals and trips. We weren't super close, but we talked. Holidays, birthdays, random check-ins. After Sandra died, Alyssa came to stay with me for 2 weekends. Helped pack some stuff. We cried a little. Then life moved on. Anyway, I figured I'd call her. Let her know I was thinking about moving closer. Not in with them, just nearby. I thought we'd go over some places together. I was hoping maybe she'd be happy about it. I waited until Sunday mid-afternoon. I knew that's when she usually did laundry and was around the house. She answered, a little out of breath. "Hey, Dad. Everything okay?" Yeah. I'm all right. Just wanted to run something by you." "Sure, what's up?" I told her I wasn't driving anymore, that things were getting a bit hard alone, and that I was thinking about selling the house, maybe moving closer to her. She didn't answer right away. Then I heard it. In the background, her husband, Mark, loud and clear like he was standing next to me. "We're not running an elderly hostel, Alyssa. He can figure it out." My heart actually stopped for a second. I waited for her to tell him off. Say something. Defend me. She didn't. Instead, she sighed. Then in the smallest voice, "We're really busy right now, Dad. The kids, Mark's work. I don't think we can deal with this. Deal with this." Like I was a load of laundry or a car repair. I didn't get angry. I didn't yell. I just sat there holding the phone. I looked around the room. My old house, the walls Sandra painted, the couch she picked. Everything suddenly felt unfamiliar. "I understand," I said. "Thanks anyway." And I hung up. The next morning, I called a real estate agent. "Hi," I said. "I'm thinking of selling. Can you come by?" Tammy came over that Thursday. Early 40s, professional, didn't ask too many questions. We walked the property. She said it was in great shape, would sell fast. She was right. Within 4 weeks, I had a buyer. A retired couple moving up from Texas to be closer to their son. They bought it cash. I didn't tell Alyssa I sold. Why would I? I was tired of trying to stay in someone's life where I wasn't wanted. I found a small 1-bedroom condo in Lawrence. Good neighborhood, closer to doctors, with a grocery store a block away. Everything I needed. Then I called my lawyer. I had a will, had it for years. Everything used to go to Alyssa. House, savings, truck, insurance. All of it. But after that call, I started thinking. She'd already made her choice. So I made mine. I had my lawyer change everything. Half my estate would go to a local veterans group that built housing for older vets. The other half to a senior program in Topeka that helps people like me. People with no one. The truck? I hadn't figured that part out yet. About a year passed. Life was quiet, but fine. I made some friends at the senior center. There was Carol, sweet woman, widowed like me. Her grandson Tyler helped me fix a leaky sink once. Good kid. Came by to check on me even when I didn't ask. Then one night I had a stroke. I don't remember much. Woke up in the hospital with a nurse shining a light in my eyes. They said it was mild, caught it early. Still, it scared me. Made me think about how fast things can change. I stayed at the rehab center for 2 weeks. When I got out, I did something I hadn't done in over a year. I called Alyssa. She picked up. I told her what happened. That I'd had a stroke but was okay now. That I just wanted her to know. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Why didn't you call me sooner?" I didn't say what I wanted to say. That she'd already made it clear where I stood. Instead I said, "You were busy." Then I told her one more thing. "I changed my will, Alyssa. It doesn't go to you anymore." The silence on the line felt heavy. "You, what?" she said. "I've got people helping me here. People who didn't treat me like a burden. That's who's getting what I have." She started crying. Real tears. I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel cruel. I felt nothing. Just tired. She came to see me 2 weeks later. She brought flowers. Sat next to me. Said sorry a lot. "Dad, I didn't know how to say no to Mark." I nodded, but I didn't say much. She left after 20 minutes. That was the last time I saw her. I still get calls sometimes. She leaves voicemails. I listen to them. But I don't call back. I'm not done with the story yet. Because what I did next, what I planned, well, let's just say when the estate lawyer made the final arrangements, everyone was in for a surprise. After Alyssa's visit, things went quiet again. I went back to my routine, doctor's visits, breakfast at the same diner, senior center on Wednesdays. Carol still checked on me. Her grandson Tyler started driving me to appointments. He refused gas money. Just said, "You remind me of my granddad." I was healing physically. Mentally, though, I was carrying a weight. Not hate exactly. More like something unfinished. 3 months passed. Then came the letter. It was from Mark. Typed. Not even handwritten. "Harold, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We'd like to revisit the will. Alyssa was very emotional during your last conversation, and I believe she may not have expressed herself clearly. We've always cared about your well-being. Let's meet for dinner sometime and talk about how to move forward as a family. No apology. No ownership. Just corporate-sounding nonsense." I didn't reply. 2 weeks later, Alyssa called. I answered this time. "Dad," she said, "please. Mark was out of line before. I know that, but we're trying. The kids want to see you." That part made my chest ache a little. I hadn't seen my grandkids in almost 2 years. I didn't say no, but I didn't say yes either. She tried again. "We were thinking, maybe you could move into one of those assisted living places near us. We could visit on weekends." I almost laughed. They wouldn't let me live near them, but now that they smelled money, they were happy to put me somewhere close, so long as they didn't have to deal with me themselves. I said, "I'll think about it." But what I actually did next was make another call to my lawyer. "Can we make the estate even tighter?" I asked. "Bulletproof it?" He said yes. We rewrote it so tight not even a team of hungry sharks could rip into it. I gave Tyler my truck. Not in the will. Just signed the title over. "You serious?" he said, eyes wide. "Dead serious." I told him. "You've done more for me in 6 months than some people have in a lifetime." Carol found out and tried to give me a casserole to say thank you. I told her she could thank me by letting me teach her how to play poker next Thursday. Then another twist hit. I was at my apartment when I got a call from the front desk. A woman was downstairs asking to come up. She didn't give her name. I told them no. 2 hours later, someone knocked on my door. It was Alyssa. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Looked like she hadn't slept. "I'm sorry," she said the second I opened the door. "I should have never let him talk to you that way." She stepped inside without waiting. "Dad, I'm scared. We're in trouble. Mark lost a lot of money on some deals. He won't admit it, but I think he's close to bankruptcy." There it was. The real reason. She tried to hug me. I didn't move. "I'm not here for money," she whispered. "I swear. I messed up." I sat down. Let her talk. She cried. Told me about how their house was underwater. How Mark had been gambling, yes, gambling, and trying to hide it under investment losses. How much did he lose? I asked. Over 300,000. I let out a low whistle. She flinched. I didn't say anything for a while. I just stared at the TV. It wasn't on. Then I asked, did you come here to ask me for help? She looked away. No, she said. Not exactly. I nodded, got up, walked to the kitchen, poured myself some water. Alyssa, I said, I spent my whole life protecting you, giving you everything I had. When I needed help, all I asked was to be near you, not to live with you, not to borrow money, just to not be so alone. She started crying again. I didn't stop her. I don't know if I'll forgive you, I said. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I know, she whispered. Then she left. The next morning, Mark called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, said he wanted to clear the air. 2 days after that, I found out something new. Mark was trying to contact my lawyer. He actually showed up at the firm's office and asked for a meeting to discuss family adjustments. The receptionist shut him down. My lawyer called me right after. You were right to lock this down, he said. And now I knew for sure this wasn't about guilt. It was about greed. But I wasn't done yet, because I had one more idea, one more move, and it was going to make sure they never saw a dime. But they would see what they lost. 2 weeks after Alyssa's visit, I got a knock on my door. It was Carol. She had a worried look on her face. You might want to sit down, she said. I just ran into your daughter at the pharmacy. I raised an eyebrow. What was she doing here? She was asking the pharmacist about your prescriptions. That hit me wrong. I never gave Alyssa the name of my pharmacy. Never told her anything about my meds. She hadn't visited me once while I was recovering from the stroke, but now she was suddenly concerned about my prescriptions? She said she was checking for dangerous interactions in your meds. But she wasn't subtle. It sounded more like she was digging for information. I thanked Carol and sat with that for the rest of the afternoon. Around 6 p.m. I called my pharmacy. Asked them to put a privacy lock on my file. Gave them a list of names that weren't to receive any info about me under any circumstances. Alyssa and Mark were at the top of that list. The next day, I got a call from the building manager. He said someone had been trying to ask questions about me in the lobby, my health, if I had visitors, if I had any relatives listed in case of emergency. Didn't give her any info, he told me. But I thought you should know. They were circling, not because they missed me, but because they were hoping I'd drop dead and leave the vault unlocked. What they didn't know is I wasn't just locking it. I was turning the damn thing into a landmine. That week, I sat down with my lawyer again. I asked him what the legal options were for leaving a video statement as part of my estate execution. He smiled and said, "Very possible. We got it all set up." We filmed it in his office. One take, no script, just me looking into the camera. I didn't yell. I didn't insult. I just laid it out, what happened when I asked for help, what I heard Mark say in the background, what Alyssa didn't say, what came next, and why I made the decisions I did. And then I said this, if you're watching this, it means I'm gone. Which means it's too late to pretend. You had a chance to be my daughter when I needed you. Instead, you let your husband treat me like an old stray dog and you turned your face away. That's why you're getting nothing. No money, no assets, no second chances. The people who showed up for me when it counted, that's where it all went. You'll get a letter. That's it. I leaned forward, looked into the camera, and said, next time someone asks you for help, I hope you think about this moment. I hope it sticks. A month later, I got a package from an unknown sender. Inside was a glossy flyer. A fake-looking wellness center in Overland Park. Private elderly care. Monthly rates in the 5 figures. Fancy logo, slick pictures, and a brochure that looked more like a country club ad than a care facility. Tucked inside was a handwritten note. This could be a good place for you if you're still looking. We'd help with the deposit. Mark and Alyssa, they didn't even sign it love. Just names. I didn't respond. Instead, I made another move. I contacted a local news writer who runs a small column about elder care, family estrangement, and end-of-life planning. I told him my story. Every piece of it. I left out the names, but I gave him the town, the details, and what I did with my estate. He published it as a column called What My Daughter Taught Me About Dying Alone and Living on My Terms. It picked up steam. Got picked up on Facebook. Shared hundreds of times. The senior center posted it on their wall. Veterans Group printed copies for their waiting room. Tyler came by and said, "Sir, you kinda went viral." I just nodded. Then a week later, I got a voicemail from Alyssa. Her voice was shaky. "Dad, I read the article. Someone forwarded it to me. I didn't know you were going to do something like that. That told me everything." She wasn't sorry I lived it. She was upset people knew about it. "I just want to talk," she said. "Please call me back." I didn't, because I wasn't done yet. I had one last surprise planned. Something she never saw coming. Not just for her, but for Mark too. And once it was in motion, they were going to understand exactly what it felt like to be treated like a problem. A month after the article made the rounds, I started getting letters. Emails too, though I don't use them much. Messages from strangers, some older folks, some younger, thanking me for telling the truth, for speaking up when no one else would. One woman said her daughter stopped calling her after her first heart surgery. Another man said his son only visited to ask about inheritance. It hit me how many people live through the same thing I did. Forgotten, brushed off, used. That's when I made my final move. See, I never told Alyssa about the foundation. After I changed my will, I started building something with my lawyer and a friend from the senior center who used to be a nonprofit accountant. We created the Sandra Home Fund, named after my late wife. It's a private charitable trust designed to support elderly people who've been abandoned by family. We made it public just a few months ago. Local press picked it up. A few radio shows called to ask if I'd do an interview. I kept it quiet until it was all finished. The kicker? We listed Mark and Alyssa by name in the founding story. Not to humiliate, but to explain why this trust needed to exist. We told the truth. They didn't take that well. Alyssa showed up at my door a week later. I could hear her crying through the door before I even opened it. "Dad, please. Please, I'm begging you. Mark's lost his job. They're going after the house. We're drowning. The kids, they don't understand what's happening. They think you're mad at them." That one stung. I loved my grandkids, but I wasn't going to let guilt pull me back into a fire. "Why are you here now?" I asked. She looked up, eyes red. "Because we have nowhere else to go." I nodded slowly. I opened the door wider, not to let her in, just so she could see what I looked like now. Thinner, slower, but still standing. "You had someone once," I said. "But when I asked to be near you, you turned away. Now you want near me because of what I have." She dropped her face into her hands. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I believe you," I said. "But that doesn't change the damage." Then I told her something that took every ounce of strength I had. "I'm giving one last donation. It's already been approved. A $200,000 grant to a local program that helps single mothers take care of their elderly parents." Her head jerked up. "Wait, what?" "Not for you," I said. "It's for women who did what you didn't. Women who made room." She broke then, right there on the steps. I let her cry, but I didn't comfort her, because my job now wasn't to save her. My job was to protect the man I had left to be. The aftermath came quick. Mark filed for bankruptcy. I found out through the local court records they're public. Their house got listed for foreclosure. Alyssa had to move in with her in-laws. The same in-laws she always swore were controlling and cold. I don't celebrate their pain, but I don't feel bad either. They were never meant to be punished. They were meant to learn. And they did. I got a card from my granddaughter Emma 6 months later. Just a drawing and a note. "Mom says you're mad. I miss you." That's the one thing that broke me. I keep that card in my drawer. Maybe one day I'll reach out to her directly. Maybe, but not yet. Because the truth is, I'm still healing. Tyler visits every week. We work on old radios in the garage I rent near my condo. Carol brings soup when my knees act up. The veterans group named a wing of their new housing project after Sandra and me. My daughter and her husband lost my money. I found peace. That was the trade. And if I had to do it again, I would have called that realtor sooner.